I want you to imagine this, okay? Imagine that Madison and I were planning a road trip to the grand old Buc-ee's gas station in Kentucky. We've never been to a Buc-ee's, but I've always been told that we need to go. But imagine we're planning a road trip. And while we are driving through Kentucky, I'm speeding and I'm driving well over the speed limit. And a police officer pulls me over and I ask, "Why'd you pull me over?" The officer replies, "Dude, you were driving way too fast." And then I respond with, what's wrong with driving fast? The officer responds, "It's the law that you follow the speed limit." And I reply, "Well, I'm not from Kentucky, so how would I know what to do? I didn't know here in Kentucky that I had to drive the speed limit." The officer grabs my driver's license and sees that it's from Indiana, and he asks, "Don't you have to follow the speed limit in Indiana?" "Well, yes," I answer, "but this isn't Indiana. This is Kentucky. How am I supposed to know that? I don't live here." How would that excuse hold up if I went to the judge? The judge would say, "If you decide to drive your car in the state of Kentucky, you are responsible for knowing the law in Kentucky. It's available for the public to see." And you see, claiming ignorance in that situation would not have saved me from the judge and the jury. In Romans chapter 1, verse 20 says, "For his," being God, "for God's invisible attributes, that is, his eternal power and divine nature, have been" what? "Clearly seen since the creation of the world, being understood through what he has made." And listen, as a result, people are without excuse. And I need you guys to pay attention here because this is heavy stuff, okay? But in accordance with Scripture, I would be so bold to say that every human being that walks upon the earth knows with certainty that God exists. And people's sin is not that they do not know him, it's that they refuse to acknowledge him. And this refusal to acknowledge him prevents people from being accepted by him. And Paul is warning people that ignorance is not going to be an excuse on the day of judgment because we are not ignorant. We are not without knowledge. This scripture said God has made himself known in all of creation. And there are so many people who are counting on their ignorance to enable them to not have to face the judgment of God. They say, "Well, I never went to church." They'll say, "Well, I never read the Bible." They'll say, "Well, I never sought after God. So how could God possibly hold me accountable?" That is ignorance, and God does not excuse it. Just like me claiming ignorance to the judge for driving over the speed limit in a different state. Paul made it clear that nobody is without excuse. His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen since the creation of the world, being understood through what he has made. And then what did he say? As a result, people are what? Without excuse. If we sin in ignorance, it is still sin. And this is the type of ignorance that Peter is addressing here. He is addressing the very same people that demanded the murderer to be set free over Jesus.